Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Hibike Euphonium Season 2. And this was such a bittersweet episode, seeing Asuka-senpai in such a different light than we usually see her. She's always so boisterous and outspoken, and she's much more reserved in this episode when Kumiko finally, catches up with her and makes good on this promise to go back to Asuka's house and, under the guise of tutoring her in math and all this kind of stuff. And it was just so enlightening to see that Asuka could really appreciate, much as Reina does, that Kumiko's kind of the friend you want to have around. She doesn't beat around the bush. She's very open and she'll come out and say what she's thinking usually. Sometimes it takes a little arm twisting to get Kumiko there, to get her to be so revelatory, but when she does, she is, and we see her in this episode being very revelatory in the face of Asuka when they do finally pair up. I thought it was absolutely interesting that Natsuki, of everyone in the band class, was who they were going to effectively swap Asuka out with if Asuka wouldn't be coming back again. As Taki said at the end of the last episode, if Asuka wasn't back in a week, they'd have to switch her out with someone. And it hadn't actually occurred to me that it was Natsuki they were talking about at the time. But Natsuki, she's kind of feeling nervous about the scenario, and much like most of the band class, they want Asuka back. They know how important this is to her, but they don't really know how deeply down the rabbit hole of importance that goes for Asuka, and that is revealed to Kumiko and we, the viewer, in this episode. And it's actually something I called. I had been suspicious about the fact that they showed the name on the Euphonium CD in the previous episode that, Kumiko was playing when Reina came over to check up on her. And effectively, it's the CD that her elder sister, didn't want to hear and everything like that. And I had said, I wonder if, because they're pointedly showing off this name and highlighting it, does this have any pertinence to Asuka's whole plight, that entire scenario? And as we have revealed that, I think I said, is it like her father or her grandfather, a relative of hers, something along those lines, that served as her inspiration for playing the euphonium? And that's very much the case. It was her father. The parents are divorced. That's why she has the different last name, the last name more adhering to her mother and everything like that. And it was her father's influence as a euphonium artist, a player, a writer of music. He wrote the piece that Kumiko heard, in sort of Asuka's solitary nature. She was off playing by herself a few episodes back now. And, Kumiko found this to be so beautiful. I think I myself said it was a touching piece. And it's that much more touching and bittersweet to find that, as a child, she basically had a euphonium, her father's, I presume, euphonium, sent to her with this notebook. The piece was probably among whatever other scattered musical notes and thoughts and things like that, might have been in their disciplines of playing this instrument that her father had sent her. And this is why her life so revolves around it. And this is also why she has been so driven to be so opinionated, in as far as who she either wants or doesn't want involved in the band class. It's why her mother treats it so, with such bitterness, because there's some personally open wounds still related very much to this craft, to this particular instrument, to all of those things that Asuka represents, that reminds the mother of the broken relationship with the husband and whatever like that. And I think it's somewhat interesting that Asuka has some, suggestive, borderline unkind words to say about her mother, but it's so caked in a level of solidarity and stoicism. She doesn't come out and rightly say, I hate my mother, but Kumiko calls her on it and says, but you really do, don't you? She's trying to stifle this thing you love and hold so much passion for. And it's something so miraculous and so beautiful, something that it lights the fire in your soul. Music is very much, for all of these characters, it's something that they all passionately love and adore. And again, talking about the parallels that, were very much going on, but very much prescient in the last episode with Asuka, having this particular dilemma, having this problem of her mother trying to make her quit and think about career solutions for the future, going to college and all this kind of stuff. And this was very much cut from the same cloth of what Kumiko's own sister was going through. All of that stuff. And I said, Asuka is kind of like a surrogate sister in a sense to Kumiko. Maybe she can relate even closer to Asuka than her own sister. And I kind of hope the relationship between she and her sister will, there will be amends to be made, through their relationship and through their understanding. As we left off with the previous episode, it seemed as though the cat who stopped her sister on her way out in the previous episode, who mentioned, it was Kumiko's dream to eventually play with you at some point, made the sister come back and basically ask her, do you have any CDs of your playing? It seemed like she wanted to engage Kumiko that much more. And we're having a level of engagement in this episode where all of the girls, they have this secret operation, like a Mission Impossible secret ops mission to try to win over Asuka's mother. And of course Natsuki pointedly wants to have Kumiko try to bring it up, bring these sweet buns or whatever they are that one of the other girls suggests, the one who came up with the name for the plan, send her over and try to win Asuka's mother to the fact of at least letting her play in the nationals and everything. And we see just how deeply emotional, deeply rooted this is for Asuka, because her father is going to be one of the judges on the panel. This is why she has been so motivated to be a part of this. She has been so motivated to have everything crisp and clean and have all the best players playing as best as they can. She wants to be able to reach out specifically to her father, her estranged father, whom she hasn't seen for so long because, as she puts it, her mother's just a little bit crazy. It's so bittersweet. It was tugging at my heartstrings and making me very borderline misty-eyed to see how much this means to her and how almost unattainable, at least at the moment, it feels like it is. And Kumiko being there, being sort of a shoulder for her to lean on. It's so interesting because the dynamic, the whole impetus for getting them together in the first place was, you could kind of call it loosely a ruse, in that, I'm gonna tutor you in math. But really it wasn't so much the senpai, wanting to tutor the student, but the student became the senpai, became the shoulder for the, for Asuka to lean on. It became vice versa, in a sense. And I love that Kumiko is who she is in this series. I love that she could be that for her and expressed how much she loved that piece and how much she wanted to hear it again. And I love that in their solitude, they kind of go off together and they go, Riverside, where I guess because it's nearby a bridge or something like that, maybe the acoustics are something that enhances the sound of the euphonium when Asuka wants to play it and everything. And she accommodates Kumiko and she plays that piece. And I love how that piece was, sort of the clinch pin for the entire end credits, because of how monumental it is in the lives of these girls, how much beauty Kumiko hears in it, in its playing, how much, beauty is in the playing of who's playing it, the fact that it's Asuka playing it, the fact that it was her father who composed it, and all these things, and how bittersweet that is, how somber that is, that she may not be able to participate in this finale idea, this concept of going to nationals, having her father hear her play. It sucks so bad if that's going to be the case. And I almost had to wonder, because there was some talk from Taki-sensei about, Kumiko could play whatever piece she wanted in a solo piece or something along those lines. I wasn't sure if he meant as part of the actual nationals performance, like, if Natsuki isn't holding her own, well, then it'll just be you, Kumiko, playing the part, or if he meant she could pick, another piece to play in another format as a practice or whatever it is. And I had to wonder, I was beginning to guess for myself, would she end up choosing this piece as composed by Asuka's father, would this be something where, you know, she would end up playing it under the tutelage of Asuka, and this would be how her father encounters it again, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. And then, of course, the whole aspect of Reina seeing the picture that Kumiko saw, you know, that Taki-sensei had in his car at the flower shop episodes back now. And Taki explained, because of Hashimoto-sensei's letting, you know, the cat out of the bag, that he had been married at one point. Now Reina sees that picture, and it surely seems like there was enough of an impression left on her that there's more to the story of Taki-sensei than she as yet knows. And it definitely seemed to keep her quiet and contemplative about what that all means. Will she bring it up to Kumiko? Will Kumiko feel resigned and obliged to the fact of having to let her know what she knows about the scenario? Will there be a falling out between them if Reina's like, you've known this all along and you've let me be all bashful and emotional around him and all this stuff, and you've known that, you know, he had someone at some point and you didn't tell me and all this stuff? Or will she be accommodating? Will she understand, you know, if that is even a point that gets raised, that Kumiko did know this, you know, will she understand because of how much of a friendship and companionship and trust there is between she and Kumiko? Maybe she'll understand, you know, Kumiko's reasoning for not coming clean with that knowledge. But yeah, I mean, just another reason to love this series, the characterization and the emotion in every single episode, whether it's borderlining hilarity or drama, what have you. I mean, I just love it. And I definitely can't wait to see how we touch back upon the unfolding story, the unfolding drama between Kumiko and her sister Manako, who wasn't at home when Kumiko went looking for her in this episode. So I'm wondering why she was, you know, going to look for her, what that has to do with, and whether or not we will see Asuka being able to participate in this finale concept, this Nationals concept, where her father may or may not be able to hear her play one last time. And so yeah, bring on the next one. Otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.